The dust in the air tasted like shame. Maria stood on the wooden platform, her 3 children pressed against her skirt, their small hands clinging to fabric that had already been worn thin by years of struggle. The town gathered below them, not out of kindness, not out of concern, but out of curiosity. Poverty had become a spectacle, and today, Maria and her children were the show. Her husband had died the previous winter in a mining collapse that the company called unavoidable. The landlord called her debt unforgivable. The banker called her situation regrettable. But none of them called it what it truly was: cruel. With no land, no income, and no family left to help, Maria had run out of choices. The orphanage would split the children. The factory would take only the boys. The streets would swallow them all. So when a traveling broker offered to place her and the children with a ranching family in the Western Territories, she had listened. But she had not known it would look like this. An auction. Healthy woman, strong enough for field and housework. The broker shouted. 3 sturdy children. Willing laborers. Package only. Package. Maria swallowed hard. Her oldest son, Thomas, only 8, stood straight despite trembling legs. The twins, little Anna and Matteo, barely 5, did not understand what was happening. But they knew it wasn't good. A man in a bowler hat raised his hand. "I'll take the boy."
"Not the rest. Package only,"
the broker barked. Another voice. "The woman can cook."
"She can."
"And Sue."
"Yes."
The numbers started low, lower than livestock. Maria stared at the horizon, refusing to cry. If she cried, the children would cry. If they cried, the men would call them weak, and weakness had no buyers. Then from the edge of the crowd came the sound of slow bootsteps on dry earth. Heavy, deliberate, unhurried. A tall man in a weathered hat stepped forward. His coat carried dust from long trails. His jaw was set like stone carved by wind. He didn't look at the broker. He looked at Maria, then at each child. He spoke only 5 words. "I'll take them all." Silence spread like wildfire. The broker blinked. "Sir, I'll take them," the cowboy repeated. "All 4. Murmurs rippled through the crowd.
Some laughed.
Others whispered. "Fool. 4 mouths. Does he know what he's doing?" The cowboy reached into his coat and placed a leather pouch on the table. The heavy clink of coins silenced everyone. "That covers their debt," he said. "And the travel." The broker counted quickly. His eyes widened. It was more than expected. "Nem?" he asked. "Daniel Reed." Maria's heart pounded. She had seen men buy horses with less hesitation. But she had also seen men buy wives for less mercy. Daniel stepped closer to the platform. He didn't reach for her, didn't touch the children. Instead, he removed his hat and spoke to Maria directly. "Mom, if you come with me, no one will separate you from your children, not while I'm breathing." His voice was low, steady. Without performance, she searched his face for cruelty, for calculation, for hunger. She found none, only tiredness and something else. Loneliness. "Where?" she whispered. "My ranch. 2 days west. It's not grand, but it's honest." The broker shoved papers toward him. "Sign here." Daniel signed. The crowd began to disperse, disappointed there would be no bidding war, no drama, just a quiet transaction. Maria stepped down from the platform, legs weak. Thomas stood protectively in front of her. Daniel crouched to eye level with the boy. "I don't replace fathers," he said softly, "but I protect what's under my roof." Thomas stared for a long moment, then nodded once. The deal was done. But none of them yet understood what it would cost. The wagon ride west was silent. The plains stretched endlessly, golden under a fading sun. The children huddled close together. Maria sat rigid, unsure how to exist beside this stranger who now owned their future. Daniel drove steadily. At night he made camp. He cooked simple stew. He gave the children blankets first. He slept near the wagon wheel instead of inside. On the second evening, Anna asked, "Are we your family now?" Daniel paused. He stared into the fire. "You're under my protection," he answered. "That's not the same," Thomas said quietly. Daniel looked at him, surprised by the sharpness in such a small voice. "No," he admitted, "it's not." Maria watched him carefully. So far, he had not demanded obedience, had not raised his voice, had not looked at her the way other men did when they believed they had purchased rights. Still, fear lingered. The third morning, they reached the ranch. It wasn't large, but it stood firm against the land. A modest house, a red barn, fields that needed tending. Daniel stopped the wagon. "This is it." Maria stepped down first, shielding her children instinctively. Daniel didn't move toward them. Instead, he handed her the keys. "You'll choose your rooms," he said. "We'll talk about work tomorrow." She stared at the keys in her hand. "You trust me?" she asked. His answer came without hesitation. "I didn't buy workers," he said quietly. "I bought a chance." And for the first time since the auction, Maria felt something crack inside her. Not fear, hope. Life on the ranch was harder than Maria expected, but it was not cruel. Daniel rose before sunrise. He worked until his hands bled. Thomas followed him sometimes, learning fences and horses. The twins helped Maria plant a small vegetable patch. No one shouted, no one struck, but something invisible stood between Maria and Daniel, distance. Gratitude tangled with suspicion. Kindness tangled with uncertainty. One evening, a neighbor rode by. "You buy yourself a family. Read,"
the man mocked.
Daniel's jaw tightened. "They're not for sale," he replied coldly. Maria heard the tone. It wasn't defensive, it was protective. That night, Thomas asked, "Why did he really take us?" Maria had no answer. Because men did not spend fortunes on strangers without wanting something. Yet Daniel asked for nothing, not even thanks. The storm came without warning. Black clouds swallowed the sky. Wind tore through the fields. One of the barns caught fire when lightning struck the roof. The horses panicked. The twins screamed. Without hesitation, Daniel ran into the smoke. Maria's heart froze. He could leave. He owed them nothing. But he dragged 2 horses out, coughing, covered in ash. When Thomas ran toward the burning structure, Daniel grabbed him. "Stay back." The roof collapsed moments later. They stood together in the rain, watching flames die. Daniel sank to his knees, exhausted. Maria saw it then. He wasn't strong because he felt no fear. He was strong because he faced it anyway. That night she cleaned the cuts on his hands. He didn't pull away. "I wasn't buying help," he continued. "I was buying noise, laughter, life." She realized then he hadn't saved them. They had saved him too. Winter approached. Food was tight. Money tighter. One evening, a wealthy rancher visited. "Heard you took on debt for a widow and her brats." The man sneered. "Sell the land to me. You'll recover your losses." Daniel stood firm. "They're not losses." Maria stepped forward. "We can leave," she whispered later. "You don't owe us ruin." Daniel looked at her, really looked at her. "I said I'd take them all," he reminded her. "I don't break my word." And something inside her shifted permanently. Because for the first time in her life, a man chose responsibility, not ownership. Spring came. The ranch survived. The children laughed freely now. One evening, Daniel handed Maria a folded paper. "What is this?" she asked. "Transfer of ownership," he said. "Half the ranch in your name." She stared at him, stunned.
Why?
"Because you weren't bought," he said softly. "You were invited." Tears filled her eyes. This time she did not hide them. Months passed. The town's whispers faded. Thomas began calling Daniel sir. Then one day, "Pay." Daniel froze, then slowly placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. Anna braided Maria's hair. Matteo followed Daniel everywhere. The ranch grew, but more importantly, so did the home. On the anniversary of the auction, Maria stood beside Daniel on the porch. "Do you regret it?" she asked. He looked at the children chasing fireflies in the field. Then at her. "I didn't take them because they were for sale," he said quietly. "I took them because no one else would." He slipped his hand into hers. "And I'd do it again." The wind moved gently through golden grass. Once, she had stood on a platform as property. Now she stood on a porch as partner, not purchased, chosen. And the 5 words that changed everything still echoed in her heart. "I'll take them all."